All right, Shalom Israel. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, for allowing me to do another lesson, right? And this is going to be a part 2 to the lesson I did earlier. What did I entitle it? I forgot the name already. Yeah, every part of this song / these prophecies will be heard. So this morning, I had stopped at verse 9. Was it 10? But I want to start at 9 again and read down to the verse 11. All right, and hey, call hello to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because we are in these times, the times of great persecution, in which, as we see, I was watching Elder Brother. I was watching a few videos. You see, I was watching the Elder Bishop, Ayathan, Fire Cures Leprosy, the Elder Brother out there in Dallas, Yashawamba, Psyops and Enchantments. Alright? And the brother out there in, I believe the Elder Brother in the UK, I believe the brother's name is Yakanan. Alright? Just, watching various lessons, pretty much speaking on the enchantment that this devil's pushing out, and how it's going to lead to Israel's persecution. But like the scriptures say, you could do nothing against the truth before the truth. And this all just proves the scriptures to be real. So this is Matthew 24:9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sakes. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. Right? And these false prophets, as we see today, the Apostle Ramla, he's been going heavy into that this week, of why these guys are changing up, and why do they suddenly see the prophecies happening now. Because pretty much they're sold out. And how this devil works is that it's subtle. He works subtly. So, like we always say, the devil, like how he came to Eve, he gave her some truth mixed with lies. That's what these guys are doing. So you can't decipher what's what. Right? And they're going to be used, they've been paid, brought and paid for. That's the only reason why you can't see what's right in front of you. Alright? Even the scriptures say what? A gift blindeth the eyes of the wise, so that they cannot reprove. So these guys have been brought and paid for. But we know that when this devil gives you a gift, it's to destroy your people. Right? Those that are rich in this society, they're rich off of the destruction of their people. Be it the rap music, and so on and so forth. So I was watching the Elder Brother Yashawamba, and then it put me in mind, that lesson put me in mind of the Elder Brother, the Elder Bishop Ayathan. And the point I'm watching in his lesson is something by the name of COINTELPRO. Right, you can look it up yourself. This is COINTELPRO Just look up COINTELPRO Black Extremists, and it'll take you into the FBI vault.fbi.gov. And I've just started reading it, but you know, it's not surprising. It's definitely not surprising that pretty much these devils have angles how they want to come and get us. All right, so pretty much they want to infiltrate from within, and then as Judas Iscariot, which I'm going to bring out in a little bit, was paid by the leaders of that time to pretty much create an opportune to create the path to get Yahweh Shai, the righteous. And like the scriptures say, that the servant is not greater than his master. They have persecuted me, they will persecute you also. Right? And just like they lied on Yahweh Shai, they're gonna lie on us. One thing we gotta do is keep telling the truth. Yahweh Shai gonna fight for us. Right? Did not Yahweh Shai say in Matthew's the 10th chapter? Blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven starts with Yahweh Shai coming, which Yahweh Shai is going to vindicate us. So I'm talking to this Gemini, right? Now it says Judas Iscariot was paid to turn on Yahweh Shai. We should all know that. And that takes us to Matthew 26 and 15. The gospel of Matthew 26 and 15 specifically states that he went to the chief priest and asked, Salaki, 1 second. It says, the gospel of Matthew 26 and 15 specifically states that he went to the chief priest and asked, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? They then paid him 30 pieces of silver. All right, that's all I wanted to grab on that. So it says, right, so he went to the chief priest and they paid him 30 wages of silver. Now the chief priest, to note, right, so I want to jump down to this portion where I says, I asked the chat, who did Judas Iscariot go to sell, or I meant to say tell about selling out? It really should be Yahweh Shai, but we know what it is. It says, what was their status in Rome? So it says, according to the Gospels, Judas Iscariot went to the chief priest to discuss handing over Yahweh Shai. The chief priests were high-ranking Jewish religious leaders who held a great deal of religious and political authority. During the Roman occupation of Judea, they acted as intermediaries between the Jewish people and the Roman authorities. Their position depended on a good working relationship with Rome, and they were responsible for keeping the Jewish populace in line. Right? So, as we know, there's nothing new under the sun. It only makes sense that there are leaders today that are paid off, i.e. a 501c3. right? And they're responsible for keeping the populace in line. So whenever there's understanding on the scriptures and how this devil's moving, their job is to cause confusion. To say that's conspiracy, to mock the truth. Right? Remember, as we mentioned before, they will give you a little bit of truth. That's the thing. They'll give you a little bit of truth, but they'll mix it with bullshit. Whereas they are of their father, the devil. Right? And we know what the devil comes with: lies and deception. And it says their position depended on a good working relationship with Rome, and they were responsible for keeping the Jewish populace in line. Because of this, they were both respected by many for their religious authority and sometimes despised by others for their collaboration with the Roman administration, which were the righteous. Now, let's check this out, because I'm also curious about what this says. Let's see. I would turn my phone to the side, but I'm not sure if that's going to mess up the whole video. There's an imaginative. Alright, so I want to read this. Now it says, counterintelligence program, black nationalists, hate groups, internal security. Now we call ourselves Hebrew Israelites, and as that, we actually despise that word black. But you have other so-called leaders that call us black Hebrew Israelites. Or like this demon, Gorilla Hebrew, called Yahushai, a black extremist. Right? So it says, look what this says. It says offices receiving copies of this letter are instructed immediately establish a control file captioned as above, and to assign responsibility for following and coordinating this new counterintelligence program to an experienced and imaginative special agent well versed in investigations relating to black nationalist hate type organizations. The field office control, it says the field office control file used under this program may be maintained in a pending and active status until such time as a specific operation or technique is placed under consideration for implementation. So again, as we see uproars of the people, as we see all of this is going on, we must know that these false prophets is going to do what they do and cause, as the scriptures say, the righteous to be delivered up and afflicted. Right? All these are the beginning of sorrow. So this morning I went into how nations rising against nations, kingdom against kingdoms, famines, pestilences, earthquakes. We see that. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. So this must be the time that we're living in. Ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sakes, because as terror attacks is happening here and there. All right, as not even just regular protests, but violent protests are happening all around the world. These are useful times for these devils, right? To where they can come after us, they can shut shit down, they can take away your liberty, they can blame it on us, for taking away your liberty, all while they're looked at as the hero. But it says, I'll read it again. The purpose of this new counterintelligence, right? In other words, counterintelligence means to go against the truth. That's pretty much all that means. It says it's to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalists, hate-type organizations and groups, their leaderships, spokesmen, membership, and supporters, and to counter their propensity for violence and civil disorder. All right? And there's another thing. If a guy, and look, here's all the, look, Philly, Phoenix, Pittsburgh. This is where all the brothers at. St. Louis, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Cleveland, LA, Newark, New Orleans, New York. Right? So, just like there was a Judas Iscariot in Howard Shai's camp, there's a Judas Iscariot in our camp. There's a Judas Iscariot in all camps. And peep how anytime a so-called Israelite group, which they call as Black Hebrew Israelites, the only times the ones that's really getting the shine are the ones that subscribe to the black narrative, like the ISUPK, and when they are on film, what is about black and white, the black man, the white man, they go into the shooting range. So that's strange activity. So it says the activities of all such groups of intelligence interests to this bureau must be followed on a continuous basis. So we will be in a position to promptly take advantage of all opportunities for counterintelligence and to inspire action in instances where circumstances warrant. The pernicious background of such groups, their duplicity, and devious maneuvers must be exposed to public scrutiny, where such publicity will have a neutralizing effect. Right? And again, as I mentioned, you can't do nothing against the truth, because Yahweh Shai or Yahweh in the Old Testament said that there will be a famine of the word. Right? That there will be a time where this word won't be accessible. All right? So we know what's about to come down the pipe. We know that the Lord is going to shut us up. And we know that there's going to be a great persecution, as we're reading. Right? And it's going to come by way of psychological operation, i.e. counterintelligence. And while we're at it, let's look up what counterintelligence means. It says counterintelligence activities designed to prevent or thwart spying, intelligence gathering, and sabotage by an enemy of other foreign entity. Okay? And hey, call Lord to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai for this truth. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai gave us the eye salve, the understanding through our elder bishops and elder apostles and elder bishops of these scriptures. And, we got to give this thing our all, knowing that we've did what's right. You know, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, right, is always going to look out for the innocent. Hell, that's what the scriptures is about. The innocent. This precept just came to mind. Sirach 37:12. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The teeth of the wicked is his social media, all right, his news media, right, in which the news media specifically targets stories, that fits his narrative, i.e. counterintelligence. All right, to where he has various FBI, CIA, DEA agents in these camps, all right, to where they're on camera, they get close to the brothers, they speak, they do lessons or whatever. They seem like brothers, right? But there's going to come a day and a time to where they're going to have a story to tell, and it's going to be with lies. But who listens to us anyway? The world hates us, and their perception against us is that of hate. We had a dude actually that came into the camp the other day just spewing madness. Not even asking us what we were about, telling us what we were about. And that wasn't the case, but that's how these people perceive us. So it says the wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. Now that was Psalms 37:12. Let's see what that says in the... I want to see what that word plotteth means. So the word plotteth means zamam, to have a thought, device, plan, to consider, fixed thought upon. Right? So Esau already has his thoughts upon us. But as it says, what? Activities designed to prevent or thwart spying, intelligence gathering, and sabotage by an enemy or foreign nation, a foreign entity. Right? So Esau has a fixed thought upon us. But as the scriptures say, I think that's in Ezra's, how iniquity hateth. Let's see. Yeah, so 2nd Ezra 16:49. Like as a whore envieth a right, honest, and virtuous woman. Right? So how this devil hates us. Lies hate truth, in other words. So righteousness hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and shall accuse her to her face. When he cometh, that shall defend him, that diligently search out every sin upon earth. Right? And that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for Yahweh Shai to vindicate us. To tell the world that, look, these guys were telling the truth. And therefore be ye not like thereunto, nor to the works thereof. For yet a little, and iniquity shall be taken away out of the earth, and righteousness shall reign among you. All right. So we're doing what we have to do, and we're entering into the next pocket of prophecy. So with that, actually before I go, I wanted to touch on something real quick. Because Apostle Paul, I put, what did Apostle Paul say about false leaders with scriptures in the Bible? Now it says Apostle Paul described fake leaders as false apostles and deceitful workers who disguise themselves as servants of Hamashiach and righteousness, even as Satan disguised himself as angels of light. And as the previous videos I highlighted, the elder bishop Ayathan, he even mentioned that it's usually for filthy lucre's sake. Right? And it says these false leaders work for dishonest gain, according to 2 Corinthians 11 and 13 and 15. Lead people astray with false doctrines and different anointed, and ultimately serve the devil's purposes while leading people into error and away from pure devotion to Yahweh Shai, or righteousness. According to 2 Corinthians 11 and 3 through 4, 11 and Acts 20 and 30. Alright? And, hey, we got to pray, like, now more than ever, that we enter not into temptation. Right? And the temptation would be, to act out of character. Because it's hard to sit there and take somebody lying on you. It is. But Yahweh Shai dealt with it. And even Yahweh Shai told us, don't meditate on what you're going to say. Right? Hey, we ain't cutting up shit. It's the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai that's getting to these devils. What's that? Hebrews 4 and 12. So if that, shalom to the elect.